My dearest Mary, the air is thick with the stench of smoke and fear here. It's hard to believe it's only been a few weeks since I held you in my arms at the train station. War is a cruel beast, Mary. It twists and distorts everything familiar, leaving only a haunting echo of the world we once knew. Today, we fought like lions. The ground trembled beneath our feet. The air crackled with gunfire. I saw things, Mary, things I can't unsee. I pray every night that this will end soon, that I will be able to return to you, to feel your warmth, to see your smile. Until then, know that you are my beacon of hope in this sea of despair. Yours eternally, John.
The world held its breath. The horrors of the Great War were still fresh in everyone's minds, yet the seeds of conflict were being sown again. In Europe, a wounded Germany, burdened by the Treaty of Versailles, found a voice in the fiery rhetoric of Adolf Hitler. His promises of national revival resonated with a population desperate for stability and pride. Across the globe, Japan, driven by imperial ambitions, expanded aggressively into Manchuria. In 1939, the fragile peace shattered.
Hitler, fueled by a twisted ideology of Aryan supremacy, unleashed his forces on Poland. The world watched in horror as the Nazi war machine rolled across Europe, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake.
John, the young man whose words dripped with longing in his letter to Mary, was a farm boy from Iowa. He grew up amidst the rolling fields where the rhythm of life was dictated by the seasons and the harvest. His hands, once accustomed to the gentle toil of farming, now gripped a pen as he poured his heart out onto paper. The letter was a lifeline, a fragile connection to a world that seemed a lifetime away. He wrote of his dreams, his fears, and his undying love for Mary, hoping that his words would reach her and provide some comfort in these uncertain times. Thrust into the heart of the European theater, John found himself face to face with the brutal realities of combat as a soldier in the U.S. Army. The serene landscapes of Iowa were replaced by the war-torn fields of Europe, where every day was a battle for survival. The camaraderie among the soldiers was a source of strength, but the constant threat of danger and the loss of comrades weighed heavily on his heart. Each day he fought not just for his country, but for the hope of returning home to Mary and the life they had planned together. Across the Atlantic, Sarah, a bright-eyed nurse from Boston, volunteered her services, driven by an unwavering sense of duty to heal and comfort those wounded in battle. Her days were filled with the sounds of pain and the sight of suffering, but her spirit remained unbroken. She moved through the makeshift hospitals with a grace and determination that inspired those around her. Each soldier she tended to was a reminder of the cost of war, and she dedicated herself to easing their pain and offering a glimmer of hope in the darkest of times. Meanwhile, in war-torn France, Jeanette, a young woman whose life revolved around her family and her bakery in a quaint Parisian neighborhood, saw her world turned upside down as the Nazi occupation cast a long shadow over her beloved city. The once bustling streets were now filled with fear and uncertainty. Jeanette's bakery, a symbol of normalcy and comfort, became a place of quiet resistance. She found ways to help the local resistance, smuggling messages and supplies hidden within loaves of bread. Her courage and resilience were a beacon of hope for her community, even as the war threatened to consume everything she held dear. Their lives, once separated by vast oceans and distinct experiences, became intertwined by the threads of a global conflict that spared no one. John, Sarah, and Jeanette, each in their own way, faced the horrors of war with courage and determination. Their stories are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope. As the war raged on, their paths crossed in unexpected ways, creating bonds that would last a lifetime. Through letters, acts of kindness, and shared moments of humanity, they found strength in each other and a reason to keep fighting for a better future. Section 4. Baptism by Fire. The beaches of Normandy. A relentless barrage of artillery fire, the deafening roar of landing craft.
John and his comrades waded ashore on June 6, 1944, into a living hell. The air was thick with the stench of cordite and the cries of the wounded. Every inch of sand was contested. Every step forward came at a terrible price.
John, his rifle clutched tightly in his hand, fought with the ferocity of a man defending his very existence. Fear gnawed at his insides, but he pushed on, his thoughts drifting back to Mary, her memory a flicker of light in the encroaching darkness. Section 5. Angels of Mercy. The field hospital was a symphony of chaos and compassion. Amidst the cacophony of cries and the hurried footsteps of medics, there was an underlying rhythm, a dance of life and death, where every second counted and every action had the potential to save a life or lose one.
Sarah, her face pale but resolute, stood as a beacon of hope. Her eyes, though tired, held a fierce determination, a promise to each soldier that she would do everything in her power to help them. She moved tirelessly among the endless rows of wounded soldiers, her steps quick and purposeful. Each patient she attended to was a testament to her unwavering commitment and the strength of her spirit. The air hung heavy with the smell of antiseptic, a sharp contrast to the earthy scent of the battlefield just outside. The sterile environment was a fragile barrier against the chaos beyond the tent walls and the raw agony of shattered bodies. Each groan, each whisper of pain tore at her heart. Yet, she persevered, her hands working with deft precision, her mind focused on the task at hand. She knew that any lapse in concentration could mean the difference between life and death. Her hands worked with deft precision, each movement calculated and deliberate. The training she had undergone was now second nature, guiding her through the most harrowing of circumstances. Her voice, a soothing balm in the midst of unimaginable suffering, offered comfort to those in pain. She spoke softly, her words a gentle reminder that they were not alone, that someone cared deeply for their well-being.
She treated each soldier with the same level of care and respect, regardless of their rank or the severity of their injuries. To her, each life was precious, each person deserving of her utmost effort. Clinging to the hope that her efforts would give them a fighting chance to see tomorrow, she pushed through her own exhaustion. The hope in her heart was a powerful force, driving her to continue even when her body screamed for rest. Among the sea of faces etched with pain, she saw John, his eyes vacant, his spirit seemingly crushed by the weight of his injuries. The sight of him brought a fresh wave of determination within her. His body riddled with shrapnel, he was one of the many who had faced the brutal reality of war. Each piece of metal embedded in his flesh told a story of the battle he had fought.
As she tended to his wounds, a silent prayer escaped her lips, a plea for his survival. She had seen too many lives lost, too many dreams shattered, and she refused to let John become another casualty. A plea for his survival, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Her hope was not just for John, but for all the soldiers who lay in that tent, fighting their own battles. Her compassion was a beacon in the darkness, a reminder that even in the midst of war, humanity could still shine through. Each act of kindness, each word of comfort, was a small victory against the overwhelming tide of despair.
Section 6. Faces in the Fog of War. War, John realized, was not about grand victories or glorious charges. It wasn't the grand strategies or the sweeping movements of armies that defined the experience. Instead, it was the small, often overlooked moments that truly captured the essence of war. The quiet conversations in the trenches, the shared cigarettes, and the silent prayers before a battle. These were the moments that stayed with him, long after the sounds of gunfire had faded. It was about the man next to you, the one who shared your rations, your fears, your dreams of going home. The camaraderie that developed in the face of adversity was unlike anything John had ever experienced. It was a bond forged in the crucible of war, unbreakable and profound. The shared hardships, the mutual reliance, and the collective hope for survival created a brotherhood that transcended the horrors of the battlefield.
It was about the young lieutenant, fresh out of officer training, who died leading his men up a heavily fortified hill. His bravery and determination were evident, even in the face of overwhelming odds. He had dreams and aspirations, just like the rest of them, but his life was cut short in a moment of valor. His sacrifice was a stark reminder of the cost of war and the price of freedom. It was about the medic, his hands stained crimson, who worked tirelessly under enemy fire to save lives. His dedication and selflessness were a beacon of hope in the midst of chaos. He moved from one wounded soldier to the next, his focus unwavering, his resolve unshaken. The medic's actions were a testament to the human spirit's capacity for compassion, even in the darkest of times. It was about the letters from home, filled with news of rationing and victory gardens, that provided a tenuous link to a world that seemed both distant and eternally out of reach. These letters were lifelines, bringing a sense of normalcy and connection to the soldiers. They spoke of everyday life, of loved ones waiting, and of a future that seemed uncertain. Each word was a reminder of what they were fighting for, and a source of strength to carry on. And it was about the faces of the enemy, young men like himself, caught in the merciless grip of a conflict they didn't choose. They were not so different, these enemies. They too had families, dreams, and fears. The realization that they were all pawns in a larger game was a sobering thought. It humanized the enemy, making the conflict even more tragic and senseless.
And so, in the fog of war, the true faces of courage and sacrifice emerged, forever etched in the annals of history. These were the stories that needed to be told, the memories that needed to be preserved, the bravery of the soldiers, the resilience of the medics, the hope carried in letters from home, and the shared humanity with the enemy. These were the faces in the fog of war, a testament to the enduring spirit of those who lived through it, and a reminder of the cost of conflict.